This
All right.
meeting is being recorded.
All right. Welcome back to Fat Stacks. Guys, I see a new face here. We got our NBA correspondent, Big Alex Beckham, coming in here, talking NBA, talking a little basketball, high school basketball coach. He's going to let us know about the basketball talk. All right. But what we're going to talk about first, we haven't talked about it in a little bit since we've been back. Season 2, we haven't talked about it. NBA. NBA trade deadline today. Boy, it was a good one. It was a real good one. Got me going a little bit for the playoffs. I can tell you that right now. And so I'm just gonna go trade by trade. And what I see here, I have these trades that happened today and yesterday. And what I want to talk about, if you have anything to touch on it, we'll touch on it. We'll try to rapid fire these. Then we'll go winners and losers if we got any. Okay, sound good? All right. So Warriors get Gary Payton Jr. or Gary Payton II. I guess Gary Payton Jr. Send Kevin Knox to the Trailblazers. Then the Warriors send 5 second-round picks for Gary Payton.
That was for Gary?
Yeah, Gary
So
Payton.
those were the 5 second-round picks they traded James Wiseman for.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it. That makes sense. I mean, I like Gary Payton, but I think I don't know if 5 second-round picks is where Gary Payton. I feel like Gary Payton is a second-round pick. So I don't know about that one. That one, I was happy they got James Wiseman off because James Wiseman needed to be out of there. But I don't know second-round picks for good old Gary Payton.
Good point. Lakers land Mo Bamba, one of the best songs of all time. But they get Mo Bamba.
Hey, I will have to admit, good luck trying to score down low against AD and Mo Bamba.
If they don't play Mo Bamba, they don't play Mo
I don't think
Bamba.
he'll play that much.
They don't play Mo Bamba in the Staples Center. I'm going to be disappointed.
I'm hoping he plays. Like the thing is, he shoots 38% from 3. Like, put him around LeBron, it might be dangerous.
He shoots 38%.
He's shooting 38% from 3 this year.
I didn't know that.
Here, I'll tell you. I'll pull up his
all right.
stats.
While you're pulling it up, I got another one. Clippers add Mason Plumlee. We're in an NBA fantasy league, and Mason Plumlee is one of my starting centers, so he's got to start playing pretty quick. All right, Alex and Fisher in that league. I'm making a comeback. Mason Plumlee needs to come back, but no, I ain't.
Hey, my bad, Tyler. I was wrong on Mo Bamba's 3-point percentage. He's actually shooting 39.8%. He's almost at 40%. Come on now. 2.7 threes a game. He's shooting 2.7, making at least 1 3 a game.
All right. And then Josh Richardson to New Orleans. I mean, that's not big.
Didn't Devontae Graham go back in that trade?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know if that's really a win or lose for each team. I feel like Josh Richardson's kind of an iffy guy, and Devontae Graham, at least he gives you heart.
Yeah. One thing that I thought was overrated, you kind of touched on it, was Wiseman going to the Pistons. And with that young team, I think that Wiseman would be a really good player for the Pistons. They got a young team. Looks like the Hawks got someone else say that name for me.
Saddiq Bey.
Yeah.
Saddiq. Yeah.
Anyway, but any comments on that? I just like Wiseman going that young Pistons team. Maybe sparks up a little bit of energy out of him.
I don't know. They already have a few good centers, young centers.
Yeah, they do. You're right. All right, Eric Gordon to the Clippers. 3-team deal. Memphis Grizzlies and Houston Rockets. Along with that deal, Rockets receive John Wall and Danny Green, and Grizzlies receive Luke Kennard. I think that the Grizzlies doing Luke Kennard is a start to what they can add, but maybe not enough. And then John Wall talking crap on Houston, saying it was a crap town, and then absolutely getting traded back is one of the funniest things ever.
That is hilarious. I saw
that
podcast. That's hilarious. That podcast that he was just ranting on like 2 weeks ago was hilarious to see now.
He may be the first guy to get bought out by the same team twice.
Good point.
True.
All right. Clippers acquiring Bones Highland from the Denver Nuggets. for 2 second-round picks. That's about it.
I actually like that one
That's a
for the
pretty good move.
Clippers. I can't believe they see how do they give up 2 second-round picks for Bones Highland, but then but then the Warriors give up 5 second-round picks for Gary Payton. I'd take Bones Highland over Gary Payton.
Yeah, I don't think picks mean really anything. Like second-round picks, I don't think picks really mean anything unless you have like a
Second-round
lottery
picks
pick.
don't, but
I think
I'd
unless
sort
you have a
of
lottery
5 of them.
pick, unless you know you're gonna have a lottery pick, I don't think picks mean anything. Like,
No.
I think he's worth more to the Warriors than those picks.
Oh, I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm just saying, like, I'm amazed at how.
Yeah, that is what I think.
If I'm Portland, I'm ecstatic. I got 5 second-round picks. I have 5 Gary Paytons coming into my team in the next couple of years. You know what I mean? Like, guys are gonna be gritty. Like, that's what you can draft in the second round.
I don't know. Suns getting Darius Baisley for Stark, a second-round pick, pretty minor.
Yep.
Hawks trading Justin Holiday and Frank Kaminsky for Garrison Matthews and Bruno Fernando, pretty minor. One thing that I think that underrated move, maybe not underrated, but I love it. Milwaukee Bucks trading 5 second-round picks, Serge Ibaka to the Brooklyn Nets for Jay Crowder.
Yeah, that was a good pick. Move.
Oh my gosh, Jay Crowder with Bobby Portis might be the craziest freaking lineup. I mean, they're just gritty guys. But I don't know if he'll start Crowder. But I mean, that's just a gritty lineup. I love it. Portis didn't start either, but
yeah,
gritty lineup. I like it. Good championship lineup there, I think. I don't know. Denver Nuggets. Acquiring Thomas Bryant. What else? Trailblazers acquiring Matisse Thybulle, defensive guy from the 76ers. All right, big one. Kevin Durant to Phoenix. Garrett, how are you feeling?
Man, I don't know. I'm gonna miss Michael. I'm gonna miss Cam Johnson. Screw Jay Crowder. And I mean, I guess you're giving up 4 first, but at the same, or was it 4? How many?
I think it was 4.
I think it was 4, right?
I
Yeah,
think it's
maybe
7
one.
picks altogether. I think 4 first and 3 seconds.
But in all honesty, those firsts are going to probably be later in the draft, anyways. I mean, you're gonna have, except maybe the 2029 first round pick, because that'll probably actually be a pretty viable pick, because I'm sure Phoenix will be pretty cleaned out by then. But like 2023 and 2025, I don't think with having Devin Booker and KD on that team, I don't see them being, I don't see them being the bottom fit, 15 where you're getting a decent pick. It's gonna be that later first round picks.
Yeah. Fair.
So I don't know. I was happy with it. I think I was happy to see us more in win now mode. The one thing that people aren't talking about is how TJ Warren was also in that deal. TJ Warren's a bucket. Don't get me wrong. Like, he hasn't played really since the COVID outbreak, but that guy's a bucket. So I mean, adding more scoring. The only problem I see with this team is defense. But if you can outscore him, who really cares?
Yeah. All right. Lakers get D'Angelo Russell, Michael Beasley, and Jared Vanderbilt. How are you feeling about the Lakers after this?
I honestly kind of I love this move. I love this, and I love the Rui Hachimura deal. Yeah, obviously your Malik Beasley can shoot, and D'Angelo Russell is a decent shooter as well, and then at least you get more of a point guard than. I mean, you have Pat Bev and Schroeder. I feel like at least you can put Russell in the first spot and leave him. And Vanderbilt plays defense. He'd be a nice guy to have out there when Anthony Davis is not out there. So
I agree. I think Lakers got a lot better. I mean,
if I had to choose a team in that 3-team deal, though, that won, I would take the Timberwolves. I know I'm not a huge fan of Mike Conley, but Nickeil Alexander-Walker is a dog. Relationship to Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, if you didn't know that. They're like I don't know, like second Cousins. But then getting a pick swap and 2 second-round picks, and really all they gave up was D'Angelo Russell. Well, D'Angelo Russell and Malik Beasley and Jared Vanderbilt. They kind of sold a little bit, but they weren't in contentions this year.
I agree. Anything else on the trade deadline? I don't have a whole lot other than that. I just kind of went line by line there and but
I there was one more trade that I really liked. Oh, Jakob Poeltl going to the Raptors. I was happy to see that one. And
Love it.
let's see.
as a Raptors fan, Alex, how you like that?
He's coming back to Toronto.
And I'm gonna say one. There's one question I have, and that is, did the Mavericks really think that getting Kyrie Irving was enough while giving up Spencer Dinwiddie and Dorian Finney-Smith? I hate to say it. I still don't like this team. Really. I mean, you have your front and your back court's good, but your front court's not good at all. And all, if you ask me, I mean, Christian Wood has been lopsided the last few games, and he's still come off the bench. It's not like you have really any big man presence down low really either. So I forget who they start.
Is it
Oh,
Dwight Powell?
Yeah, Powell. Powell sucks. He's so
Yeah.
bad. I mean, I went to a Mavs game this year. That was when Luka dropped the 60-point triple double like crazy, and Dwight Powell looked like I didn't even realize he was out there. Like it was that bad.
One thing I do have to say for the NBA, this is just with my team. Why are we not trading Zach LaVine? I heard the Knicks were in on him. Heard a few other people are in on him. I've heard him and Billy Donovan are on the outs. Everybody is signing with Donovan. Nobody likes him on the team. I think it's time to ship him out. And why are you shaking your head? I just don't understand. Like, if he's not doing well on the team and he's got high value now, why not just trade him? I think we also made a mistake not trading Vucevic. I know he wants to re-sign back, but I think that's also a bad. I mean, he's old, kind of getting older. I think that's a bad thing in the front office too, not signing Vooch or not trading Vooch. I think, and if you're not thinking that you're going to build around Zach LaVine, you're not thinking he's a guy you want to build around, then why not just trade him? Because his value is not going to get any higher than I feel like right now. And so that's my point. Same thing with Vooch. Same idea with Vooch as well, because he's getting older. He's not, I mean, he's like probably our second best player. And I don't know. Anyway.
I got a question, Tyler.
Okay.
Do we still believe in this Patrick Williams pick?
I don't know. Here's the thing. When you have a new GM like you did AK, and I mean you just hired him a couple months before that, you have to, you think, well, why not? We're just going to trust this guy. You know what I mean? And now it's starting to seem like he's not very good as a GM. And so, to be honest with you, if I'm looking back on it, no, it was not a good pick, obviously. I mean, I can sit here and say that. But at the time when they did pick him, I was excited because you kind of had this new energy when it came to the GM, and you thought he would do a good job, and thought he would be the guy to, lead this rebuild that the Bulls had going at the time. Same thing. I mean, honestly, the Bears are in the same situation. Like, I have no other choice but then to believe like Ryan Poles is going to do a good job for the Bears GM. And so, like, what other choice do I have until like in 2 years if he sucks? Then I'll be like, well, this guy sucks. Get him out. Like, let's do it again. Like, that's. I mean,
he's not terrible, but he's not like an all-star.
I mean, he's not like. And what do they pick him at, 5 or 6? I mean, he's not a 6 overall pick. Like,
he didn't meet expectations.
No, and like, I don't think like. And here's the thing, like, I don't think anybody thought he was going to meet expectations when he didn't even start on his team. Like, he didn't even start at Florida State. He was a 6th man. And so it's like, what are we doing? Like, okay, let's just go ahead and get this guy and we'll just go ahead and believe it. But yeah, I mean, I think I think he has like 1 or 2 more years to really make a splash because Chicago is a big market, whether you believe it or not. It has to be a big market, and you have to spend the money. Jerry Reinsdorf has to spend this money. We haven't been good since freaking Jordan has pretty much left, other than 1 or 2 years with Derrick Rose there. And so we gotta spend some money, and we gotta get guys there. Because Chicago is not a small market. We gotta get guys there. People want to be in Chicago. They don't want to pay the taxes in Illinois, but they want to be in Chicago.
I was actually happy to see Toronto not sell though. 'Cause I was told that they might be getting rid of OG and don't get me wrong, OG Anunoby is a dog, and if he was in any other market like that was big, he would actually have a little bit more like with some spotlight on him. He'd kind of have a lot more to his name, but I was happy to see him stay because I mean, if you really think about it now, I mean, your your starting lineup is Fred VanVleet, Gary Trent Jr., OG Anunoby, Pascal Siakam, and Scotty Barnes. That's not a bad lineup at all. Like that might be the most complete 1 through 5. Like your worst starter is probably Gary Trent Jr., and he's probably one of the best fifth starters on most. Yeah, I mean he'd start on most teams in the NBA. So I don't know. I just like watching the Raptors play. So I was just happy to see them not sell.
I don't know. I kind of wanted them to trade OG
Ooh,
because they're not going to be able to sign all these guys back. They got a few free agents.
you need to sign OG and Scotty Barnes.
OG's signed for the next couple of years pretty cheap, I think.
Yeah, and Scotty Barnes. Those two need to be who you. I mean, Pascal. If you kept those three. Oh God, I didn't even realize you guys have Malachi Flynn on your team too. I don't know. I just like those three. You're pretty much Fred VanVleet is just a shell of himself this year. It feels like.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on to the bread and butter of the podcast. That is college basketball. Now it's time for Fisher to lift his head up and start paying attention. He loves college basketball.
Ooh.
Fisher, I do have one question. Let me tell you something. Let me ask you something. And I don't know if you're gonna like this question. Before we get into it, what is going on with Rick Barnes and these Tennessee Volunteers, man? I mean, what are we doing? I mean,
Tough. You see that buzzer beater?
I didn't even watch it. I saw that they lost.
It was crazy.
Vanderbilt hit a buzzer beater. They were down 2. They kicked it out. The dude was wide open, and our best free throw shooter, Vescovi, he missed a free throw down on the other end of the floor to give them that opportunity. So free throws, offense wasn't there, but I told you guys before they got on this cold streak, I said that the Vols are, they have a cold offensive stretch every game for about 5 minutes, and that's going to be the death of them. So they probably don't even deserve to be in the top 10 after that loss. I mean, back-to-back losses against not very good SEC teams.
Vandy's a tough place to play. I mean, you can't really knock that. It's on the road, but conference game on the road, you can't. I know it's not a very good team, but you still can't be too. I mean, you can be disappointed in the loss, but you can't like really knock it too much because a lot of teams lose on conference games on the road. So, I don't know. I think Tennessee is a team that can win it all, but I think it's good that they lost. All right, I'm gonna say that. I think it's good that they lost. A little reality check.
It might be good for them. Yeah, and this way, they're not getting too hot too early, but it just hurts because Vanderbilt is the in-state rival, and we own Vanderbilt and everything. And to lose on their floor, it's the first time that's happened in a while.
Maybe not baseball.
Well, we're talking the big money college.
Yeah. Okay.
Football, basketball. Yeah, you're right. Baseball and
maybe
golf,
last year in baseball, but
yeah, right. So, but yeah, I mean, I think the Vols have I don't know who they have this Saturday, actually. But whoever they have, the SEC is not too strong, so it should be a good bounce back spot for them.
Anyway, let's get to tomorrow's game. Sorry, I just had to ask Fisher about that, but Xavier at Butler, Xavier -6.5. Garrett, how we feeling about it?
Xavier -6.5
on the road.
On the road. Well, listen, I'm gonna be completely honest with you.
I love
this Butler team's not that great. They're not that great. I've watched Butler play. They're not that great. The only thing is that when you get, if we're talking Xavier Butler, these two teams really do not like each other. Like I feel like this is generally the Big East rivalry. If you ask me, like if there's a Big East rivalry, it's these two teams. Just because I used to love watching Xavier, I used to love watching Butler. But in 6.5, I would say I want like if this wasn't like any rivalry, I'd probably take Xavier minus 6.5. But I don't feel comfortable touching this game. I can see Butler winning this in all honesty. So I think it's going to be a pretty close one just because of it's just like Kansas State. It doesn't matter how bad any team or Mount Vernon versus Central. It doesn't matter how bad a team is. They can still knock the other team off any given night whenever they play each other just because of the rivalry.
Yeah, I'm still taking Xavier. I get what you're saying. And you're right. I mean, Butler's not good. They have a losing record in the Big East. Losing record overall. They're 8th in the Big East. I like Sean Miller. Obviously, I think he's a great coach. I think he's got Xavier back up and running. Didn't they have John Gross before Sean Miller?
Yeah.
Former Illini guy. So I mean, Xavier, that's a team. When we all grew up watching March Madness, Xavier was kind of in the tournament. They went a few years without it. They're back to prominence. They're a top 15 team. So give me Xavier. They're had something pulled up about them against the spread. Now I can't find it, but I think what's that?
They're 13-10 against the spread.
Okay, 13-10 against the spread. I know they're on the road, but they are a much better team just by the eye test. And they've got 2 top 25 wins in their last 5 games. Marquette and can't remember who else they beat. They might have beat UConn. So I really like this spot for them.
Alex, how are we feeling about it? Big East matchup.
Nothing to say.
I don't know if I would touch the game like Garrett said, but my lean would probably be Xavier this one. Again, I just think they're a much better team. My lean, if I do hit the game, I will hit Xavier 100%. I don't think there's any shot that I'm hitting Butler at this number at 6.5. I think, I think like you said, Sean Miller's got it going. Coming out from Arizona and going to Xavier, I think bringing back a program in the Big East that needed it. So need a little. Go ahead.
It'll depend on the tempo of that game because I mean, obviously, you have one team that likes to score a lot, and another team just kind of likes to, and Butler likes to slow it down a little bit and reduce the amount of possessions. So
I would
that's
like
the
to
only thing
mention,
that scares me is Butler at home. If they could reduce the amount of possessions, I think they could cover that 6.5.
I would like to mention, kind of unrelated, but if you are not on FanDuel, and I use DraftKings more, but if you use another platform, you're not on FanDuel yet, they have a $3,000 no sweat first bet. So that is huge. I mean, you usually see that for $100 or $200. Since it's Super Bowl week, if you bet, I think it's up to the Super Bowl or maybe during the Super Bowl, up to $3,000, and you get that money back if you lose. Now you get that money back in bonus credit, so you can't cash out. I think you've still got to bet it. So there still is a risk, but I mean, if you're going to bet that money anyway, you might as well use it and get some free credits with it. So download FanDuel. We're not paid by them to say this. I'm just saying this. It's $3,000. That's a lot of money. That's a huge deal if you want it.
It's a lot of money. Let's go. Saturday slate. Not as big Saturday slate as it was last Saturday. It's still a pretty good one. Let's go West Virginia at Texas. 11 a.m. game. Big 12 matchup. I'm going to go first. I think it's Texas. I know West Virginia had a big win yesterday. I think Texas at home. I think this game might end up being a pick 'em, maybe 1.5 Texas way. But I think it's Texas.
I actually think you're going to see this line come in at like minus 6.5 Texas.
If it's that, I'll take West Virginia.
Yeah, I agree. I honestly think this is a 50-50 game. I think I'd give the lean to Texas, but I think you're going to see this
If the
line come in.
If the line is 2.5 or more, I will bet West Virginia.
Yeah, I would probably agree with that.
Maybe even 1.5. I lean Texas, but let me tell you something. I don't think they're gonna win big.
No, I don't think they're gonna win big at all. You don't see a Big 12
Bob,
team
give me Bob Huggins.
win big in conference hardly ever.
There's two guys I want to eat dinner with, and that's Bob Huggins and Andy Reid.
You eating burgers?
Eating burgers, baby.
I was gonna say you gotta be
Burgers.
eating burgers.
Eating burgers and browse just out on the back patio, watching some ball.
Yeah. This Big 12, I don't know if you guys have paid attention to the Big 12 standings, but you have 5 teams within one game right now. It's going to be interesting coming down the wire on that one. Obviously, Texas leads everyone, and then there's 4 teams tied at 7-4, right behind Texas 8-3. So it's going to be interesting one the rest of the ride.
I agree. Fish.
Well, Marcus Carr single-handedly kept the Longhorns in the game against Kansas on Monday. If you picked up on that game, I mean, huge second half for him, making threes left and right. Got to love what he's doing. Timmy Allen, I think he's a super duper senior. He's like John Fulkerson. He's 1 point away from 2,000 points in Texas. So he's probably going to get that Saturday. So that'll be a big deal. And yeah, I think they're starting to click at the right time. So I don't know a number yet, but I love what the Longhorns are doing. I think they can make a deep run.
Alex,
Texas.
love it.
The-
Love it.
The only,
Love it.
I mean, I'd take Texas in this one, but Fish brought up the Texas versus Kansas game. You want to know the craziest thing about that game, though, is Jalen Wilson only had 2 points and they still beat him.
Hey, can you tell me?
Yeah.
something? Hey, that's all fine and dandy. But I just want
Usually he has to carry them.
Usually,
Usually he has to carry him.
Usually, I want you to admit that Kansas is not the number 5 team.
I'm not going to admit
Oh.
that.
Oh my goodness.
Dude, come
I'm not
on.
going to. They
Dude.
just beat Texas. You
They
guys were high
literally
on
lost
Texas.
right after you said that.
And to Iowa State. At Iowa State, they haven't lost at home in like almost the last 2 years.
Oh my gosh! I mean, any good team really doesn't lose at home.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
They're not a top 5 team in the country.
Okay.
Didn't TCU beat them by 20 at home?
At home, probably.
Yeah.
Hey, listen,
They
I'm
are.
just
I think they
saying,
are top 10 though.
This is the thing.
Top 10, they're not top 5.
Someone in the Big 12 has to be in your top 5 just because of how hard the conference is. That's my opinion. And that was the team I chose. It was between them and Texas, and they beat Texas at home by 8. So
All right. Please. SIU Carbondale, Southern Illinois University at Drake. Can't bet it. Thanks a lot, JB. But give me the Salukis. I don't even care. I don't know much about the Missouri Valley, but give me the Salukis. They're winning this conference. They're going to be a 13 or a 14 seed in this tournament. Sweet 16 Cinderella. I'm seeing it. Fit into the Raptors in Carbondale, Illinois. I'll be there for it. Give me the Salukis.
We're gonna
That's
party
right,
like it's 2007. I think that was that when they got beat by
2008.
Jayhawks?
Yeah.
Yeah, we were in
They
second
won.
grade, and I just remember it being like a huge deal. Like nobody knew any of the play, like nobody knew exactly what was going on. We're just like, wow, a team from Carbondale, Illinois is in the Sweet 16. It was cool. But
Then
yeah,
just
I'd love to.
getting boat race by Mario Chalmers.
Yeah, yeah.
yes,
It's,
sir.
It's so they play Drake, Missouri Valley Conference, pretty tight. Yeah, it's a shame we can't bet it. I don't know a whole lot about it, the ins and outs of the conference, but Marcus Damask, he's a senior. He leads the team in virtually every stat: points, rebounds, assists, steals. Probably leads it in field goal percentage. He's pretty efficient. I don't know. He's just a good player. And their other player, Jones, I think Lance Jones, Evanston, Illinois guy. We've seen him at the Centralia Holiday Tournament before. So they do have some, a lot of Midwest talent on this team. And I hope they can make it in. It'll be a big deal for this area if they can make it to March Madness.
I will say I went to the game there last weekend and it was rocking during the second half.
On a Sunday
It was pretty
too.
good. Yeah, pretty good crowd.
That
Yeah,
may
that's
have
awesome.
been- I think that maybe had some Mount Vernon alumni, NJ Benson playing for Missouri State. Maybe that had a little bit to do with it too, a little bit. I don't know. I don't know if there's many fans there for him or not, but
Any orange there? Any orange and black in the crowd?
I
I
know
won't
there
rip
was,
him. I won't rip him too much, but he played terrible in the first half.
I mean, he's a freshman for crying out loud.
He
He's
went
off
in
the
and gave
show.
up 2 offensive rebounds immediately. It
Off
looked
the
like high
show.
school all over again.
Oh my gosh. All right.
hey, listen, hey, I'm gonna be completely honest with you. This line's gonna come in for Drake at like -5.5 if I was a betting person.
Yeah. Southern Illinois plus 5.5. Can't bet it. Anyway, next game. Connecticut, UConn at Creighton. I'm gonna say something about this. This is gonna be the hottest take in this show this season, especially. I think when UConn is clicking, they are the best team in the country. I think when they are clicking, I'm gonna say it again. When they are clicking, they are the best team in the nation. And they beat Marquette. They didn't just beat them. I mean, they absolutely tore them up. Tore them up by 20. Number 10 team in the country, tore them up. And so I do think they got the horses. I do think coaching is part of the problem, like Aaron says. I do agree with Aaron on that. But UConn, lock them into the Final Four right now.
We're talking about the second most inconsistent team in all of college basketball.
Are we talking about men's or women's?
I'm talking about men's. Listen,
Oh, okay.
I didn't
I'm
say-
saying, no, listen, when they're playing like they're supposed to, like they did against Marquette, I think they're the best team in the country.
yeah, but then they also have games where they lose to Seton Hall or St. John,
Hey,
or they
Hey.
or
I don't want to hear
Or-
anything about my Holloway, Coach
Or-
Holloway. I don't want to hear anything about Seton Hall, all right?
okay, Seton Hall's dogs. I'll give you that. Okay, they lost to St. John's and they lost to Xavier at home.
Okay, I mean, what are we talking about?
Okay, I need an explanation of the Georgetown game though. You only beat Georgetown by 6.
I mean,
Georgetown-
you have bad games.
They've lost 5 of their last 10, Tyler. I will side with Garrett here. I get
Okay,
like,
the
I get
whole-
that.
this
I get
team-
that. But what I'm
clicking here.
saying is, if they start clicking, I think they're the best team in the country. If they
Yeah,
click,
if-
I think they're a Final Four team. There's not many teams you can say that about.
You
I
could
can
say that about 15
12
teams.
No, you
I
can't.
can say that about 12 to 14 teams.
Oh,
I think you can.
I can say that
I
about
think-
5 teams in the Big 12.
oh my gosh.
He's right. I agree.
I'm not wrong. If they're clicking, they could make it to the Final Four easily.
If UConn had a better coach, they could be the number 1 team in the country.
I'm just saying they're so inconsistent that I honestly think Creighton wins this game.
If Paige Beckers stopped being the assistant coach this year for the women and coached the men, would they make the Final Four?
Yes.
They'd have a better chance than right now. I'll put it that way.
I need Aaron Pemberton, Field Panthers girls coach, to be the coach of the UConn Huskies.
Oh
I'll
God.
be his associate assistant.
No, I'll be his assistant. We'll get the locker room fired up. You guys can be the X's and O's guys. I'm the Jimmy and Joe's guys. I'll get the locker room fired up.
Okay.
I'm using that quote next time I'm on WMIX, by the way. I was
I might
thinking
have to
about
use that
that. I was
quote.
like, I gotta sling that in there somehow.
X's, hey, Malvern football, Dan Mings, not an X's and O's guy, but he's a Jimmy and Joe's guy.
That's right.
So is Dan.
Hey,
so is
Tyler,
Dan.
I will tell you that the team they are playing did beat Xavier at least once this year and didn't get swept by him.
You guys think I'm like a big UConn fan. I just think that they're a very good basketball team.
They're 3.5 games out of their Big East standings.
Oh my
There's-
gosh. And your fifth team in the country is freaking in 4th place in their conference.
They're tied for second.
Oh my gosh. I mean, can't even be leading their own conference. They're 15 in the 5th in the conference.
the
I mean,
Big
geez, what are we
12.
talking about? You can't even put Texas leading in the conference at 5th in the nation. I mean, what
You're
are we
talking
talking
about the Big East, Tyler. The Big East.
I mean, we're talking about your
They're
15.
8-6 in the Big East.
The Big East has
Big East is tough,
4
man.
ranked team, 4 or 5 ranked teams this year, don't they?
Might be the third
Yeah.
best conference.
They have 5 right now. You have them as the best conference?
I said
The
third
third
best
best.
The
conference.
third best? I was gonna say, yeah. I'd have them as probably the third best conference.
Tough conference, man. You got Rutgers
I-
at
I will-
Illinois.
I will take UConn though, probably in this game. I don't know what the line is.
I'm
They're
taking-
8-4 at home against the spread. That's just against the spread. So I like that. They play well at home.
I'm
They're not
taking
at
I'm
home.
taking Creighton. I'm
Not at
taking
home.
Creighton.
We're on the road.
don't-
UConn's on the road.
UConn. Oh, never
You guys
mind.
on the road.
Take back what I said.
Yeah, I'm taking Creighton to just beat them by 10 at least.
Oh my.
Oh shoot. All
I
right,
bet
next
this
game,
line
Big
comes
Ten.
in. I bet it's Creighton minus 3.5 is the line.
I'm gonna say Rutgers at Illinois. I don't know what to do with this game. Rutgers. Can't bet it, but I would say I don't know. This game is tough. Crappy. Rutgers plays good defense, really good defense.
Now we're talking about the third most inconsistent team in the nation, Illinois. Let's just be honest. Like we're talking about inconsistent teams here, and
Again, a team that is poorly coached.
I'm
You
not
think?
disagreeing with that.
Whoa, whoa.
I'm not going to
That's a hot
disagree with
take.
that one.
It's not a hot take. Brad Underwood is not a great coach. He's got the recruits, he's got the horses, but he's not a great coach.
I don't
He
think it's his
arguably,
fault.
Huh? You don't think it's his
It's not
fault?
his fault. No, it isn't.
I mean, he was a 1 seed in the tournament 2 years ago, and he got freaking beat in the round of 32.
I'm just saying this team should this Illinois team should be a lot better than what they've shown on paper. Or on paper, they're a lot better than what they've been showing this year. I mean, Terrence Shannon Jr. and Coleman Hawkins should each have a walking 15 points at least, and Coleman Hawkins is averaging 9.3, and I could argue he might be the most athletic guy besides maybe Trace Jackson Davis in the Big Ten.
Underwood's not an X's and O's guy. He's a Jimmy's. and
No,
Joe's guy.
he's not. He's not a Jimmy Jones guy. That's the thing. You got to be one or the other. He kind of flirts in between.
Did
You gotta, you gotta be
did you
one or
see
the
where?
other. You got to be
did you
one or the
see
other.
where-
When you try to stand on both sides of the fence, when you're standing on the fence, you try to stand on both sides, you're going to hit yourself in between the legs, and you know what that happens. It hurts.
I'm just going off the Tyler logic, man.
That's not.
I love it.
Here's the
I
thing.
love it.
You
Yeah, it
got to be
is.
one or the other.
I'm not
You
saying
got to be
you're wrong,
one
I'm just
extreme or the
saying.
other. You
Tyler,
got to be.
does it get
You got to be
does it
Dan
get you fired
Campbell.
up?
Huh?
Does it get you fired up when Underwood left his team in the locker room at halftime and just sat on the bench and just put his head down?
No, because you got to get them fired up. You got to get them ready to go. You got to be like Blue Chips and flip that water cooler very first freaking scene in the movie.
All right, maybe he did. Maybe it was a quick
Underrated movie, Blue Chips. Anybody seen it? A great.
No, I
movie.
haven't seen it.
Oh my, Shaq, Penny Hardaway movie, great movie. You need to watch it. Underrated basketball movie. Baylor at TCU. Give me TCU at home.
It's your conference, Garrett. Let's hear it.
Scott Drew.
TCU at home is nice. Is Miles going to be playing in this game?
No, but the other guy's back in. Lamp.
I'm probably going to take Baylor then. Like Miles is such like it kills this team. I think, and it's a. I mean, you got to realize these two teams are less than an hour apart from each other. I mean, Waco is not far from good old Fort Worth at all. So I could see that this might be a pretty close. Like you're going to see a lot of fans there on each side. So I'm probably going to take Baylor in this one.
On the road, taking Baylor.
Yeah,
Hey,
on the road. I'm taking-
TCU got a big road win against Baylor last month, so it'll be interesting to see how they respond.
Will be. I was going to talk about Duke and Virginia, but Duke's so bad I don't even want to talk about it.
Yeah,
Good.
Talk about an inconsistent team. Duke. They're terrible.
Indiana at Michigan. Underrated player of the year. Hunter Dickinson. Give me Michigan.
Oh God, get me out of here. Hunter Dickinson does not come in the top 20.
You kidding me? Look at this last
Players
2 or
this
3
year.
games. Look at his last 2 or 3 games.
I know what he's done the last 2 or 3. What
Trace
did he do
Jackson
before
Davis.
that?
Trace Jackson Davis. He couldn't even hold a candle with Hunter Dickinson.
Trace Jackson Davis is still.
Yeah, we're talking about. You're saying National Player of the Year, Trace Jackson Davis, Hunter Dickinson, put him in a freaking body bag.
I wasn't saying Trace Jackson Davis is National Player of the Year, but
You're saying he's top 3.
He's
It's
probably
hard-
number 2.
Huh?
Probably number 6.
You're cutting it out, but yeah, I think he is. I think he's in the top 3.
All right, one second.
I don't know if he's top three.
I know
You think
Aaron definitely said he was top three.
you think Hunter Dickinson's top three?
No, I thought you meant Trey Jackson Davis.
Oh yeah, I could argue Trey Jackson Davis top
Hunter
three.
Dickinson has been playing last 5 games. He's been like lights out, like on a heart streak, and it's been carrying
He has.
Michigan.
I'll give him this. He's been a lot better here lately. It's just the fact that this Michigan team is 14-10.
No, I get it. I mean, but like think of the last like few games they played. I mean, he's been unbelievable, unbelievable.
Oh, he has.
Like,
He
I mean,
has.
you're talking about, Ohio State playing unbelievable. Northwestern's not a bad team, playing good. Penn State, that's a tough loss, but Purdue, only losing by 5. I mean, they've had, I don't know, they've had good teams, and he wasn't playing against Trace Jackson Davis. He was playing against Ohio State, and they have that's not a bad team. Ohio State, I don't think. I was watching the game. Eye test, they're not that bad of a team, but I know they haven't won very many conference games. So
Well, the crazy part is Michigan actually has a better conference record than they do an out of conference record, if that makes any sense.
yeah,
They were 6-5 outside conference, and they're 8-5 in conference.
And I think you're looking at this game, Indiana. I mean, what was their last? Win against Rutgers, win against Purdue. I think this might be a letdown spot on the road to a Michigan team that's starting to kind of roll a little bit.
Yeah, we will see. The only thing that scares me is that you have Dickinson, and it's a big man matchup, and Indiana has better players around the Trey Jackson Davis than Michigan does around Hunter Dickinson. So that would be my argument. So like if you have the big men equal out, I'm still think Indiana wins this pretty handily.
Tell you what, man, I don't even know his first name, but Juwan Howard's son, he's pretty salty.
Jet.
Oh my, Jet Howard, he gets hot. I think Michigan's a whole nother team. I think they're in a whole nother tier because he played really well against Ohio State and kind of pulled them away. And he had like 3 threes right in a row, and it kind of pulled him away there. And but he's a pretty salty player, and I think when he plays well, the whole team kind of rallies around it. And I know Hunter Dickinson's the best player on the team, but you have other pieces in that center like we've talked about.
I still can't root for Michigan with Juwan Howard as their coach, though.
And real quick on Dickinson, I mean, they released the mid-season Naismith Player of the Year watch list. There were 5 Big Ten players on there. Dickinson was one of them. And looking at his stats, I mean, he's averaging 18 points a game. He's really come a long way as a scorer and a rebounder. I mean, he's led Michigan in points and rebounds each of the last 3 seasons. Also averaging 1.6 blocks a game. He's a big force down low. You just look at his stats and what he's done for this program. I think you have to put him in your top 20 players right now. I don't see how he's not in there.
I think we're kind of going long on Indiana, Michigan, but I don't know. I mean, the Jet Howard thing, I don't even know why I'm still talking about it, but he is, I don't know if you guys have seen him play, and I know Alex shook his head, so maybe you can touch on it, but he is really good. I think he's very inconsistent because I think he's young, but he's a pretty good player. Can't hear you.
I'll give you
live?
my. Can you hear us now?
Yeah.
I would have probably at least 10 guys over Hunter Dickinson. I mean, you got to put Edey, you got to put Wilson, you got to put Drew Timme probably, Tabelos for Arizona, Marcus Sasser for Houston, Brandon Miller's up there, Jalen Pickett for Penn State. I'd probably put Jaime Jaquez ahead of him. Then you have Sonogo, Oscar Shibwe, like that whole crew. Yeah, I mean, I'd say Hunter Dickinson falls in that 10 to 15 range if you had to ask me for.
Do you think like
Player of the
Shibwe
Year.
is better than Dickinson this year?
I mean, he's still averaging almost 14 rebounds a game. I get it. Like it's about the same. What's each team's record's about the same too, aren't they?
Probably.
And so, I mean, I think just let me see what Shibwe is.
If you gave me just one game, who would I'd rather have? I'm probably taking Oscar.
I don't know.
I mean, he's averaging 15, almost 16 and 13 right now. I'd say head to head, I'd probably take Oscar anyways.
Yeah. All right. Anything else on college basketball before we get out of here? Wasn't very many good Sunday games. I didn't hit on Sunday. Usually not a big slate on Sunday. But
Really kind of a weak Saturday this week. You know what I mean? There's not,
I mean, there's a lot of volume, but there's not very many good games.
yeah, there's not as many good games this Saturday. It's, I mean, you have obviously a little bit of Big Ten, a little bit of Big 12, but nothing really outside of it happening. So the Big East game tomorrow is probably going to be
One of the better games.
the Big East game tomorrow, the Big East game Saturday will be the two best games of the week, if you ask me.
Anyway, all right. Just want to touch on something real quick. Nick Bosa, Defensive Player of the Year. Justin Jefferson, Offensive Player of the Year. Brian Dable, Coach of the Year. Geno Smith, Comeback Player of the Year. I think we can all agree those are pretty good awards for all of them. Pretty good. I think that maybe Justin Jefferson should have got more of a look at MVP, but Offensive Player of the Year is a good nod to him at the season that he had. But yeah. Anyway, anything else, guys?
Kirk Cousins is not a top 20 quarterback in the league.
Justin Fields will be the best quarterback in that division.
I would not disagree with that as long as Rodgers is out.
I'm glad Alex can't talk because I can't hear him because he's a Packers fan. He's gonna say some crap about Jordan Love.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that he was just muted right there. Anyway, Justin Fields, MVP next year. Book it. Guys, bet responsibly.